Hi everyone, I'm Karen Rowe from Museums Victoria, and today I'm going to talk to you about my master student Ruth Lee's project on the impact of roads on soundscapes in a protected landscape. Now, we all know that noise can impact animals in urban environments, but there's increasing evidence to suggest that these impacts are being detected even in protected spaces. And in a large-scale study in the US, researchers found that roads, and particularly vehicles that drive on those roads, were a significant source of noise pollution. And these impacts were being detected in even some of the most pristine habitats. Now, one way we can investigate the relationship between wildlife and noise pollution is through soundscape analysis, because soundscapes provide an index of the biological activity and diversity of animals that are present at a site. Now, the focus of this project was really about the impact of road use on wildlife soundscapes within a protected landscape. This study was conducted in the spring of 2018 in Bunyip State Park. We selected 21 sites across 3 different road types: 4-wheel drive tracks, 2-wheel drive tracks, and walking tracks. Now, at each of these sites, we surveyed 6 different locations at increasing distances from roadsides. We used automated recorders to document soundscapes as well as background noise levels. We analyzed noise using a general wildlife acoustic analysis method, which summarizes the sounds between 10 hertz and 10,000 hertz. For soundscapes, we used acoustic indices, which are a quantification of the soundscape complexity and diversity, and we use this as a proxy for biological activities, which is substantiated by previous research in this area. Now, our 3 main questions were: 1, does noise vary across road types? 2, does noise affect the soundscapes? 3, do wildlife soundscapes vary across the road types? So I'll go through each of those results. First, we did find an effect of noise on road type. So we found that noise was actually lowest among the 4-wheel drive tracks. But interestingly, we found that background noise levels were similar between 50 and 250 meters from the tracks for both the 2-wheel drive and the 4-wheel tracks, suggesting that the noise levels were not highest closest to the roads. Interestingly, we did find, though, that walking tracks had this declining pattern of noise. So noise levels were actually slightly lower further in from the walking tracks, so at that 250-meter mark. Second, we found a strong negative relationship between soundscape index and the noise we were detecting. So we found that at sites where there were louder sounds, we detected lower biological sounds based on the soundscape. And finally, we found a fairly complex relationship between the soundscape indices we used for biological activity and the road type. So the relationship between these two was impacted not only by the type of road, but also by the time of day, the distance from the road, the complexity of the vegetation at each of those survey points, and the background noise all affected what we found for the soundscape indices at each of these sites. So, as we might predict, walking tracks had the highest overall biological sounds, but the values we've detected in terms of biological activity from our soundscape indices was pretty similar to those across all 3 road types. So to conclude, in this study, we found that road types did differ in their background noise levels as well as their ambient soundscapes, but these patterns were fairly complex and they shifted throughout the day. Sites that had lower noise had higher biological activity as measured by our acoustic indices, and that background noise levels were similar between 50 and 250 meters of the 2-wheel drive tracks. This suggests that the sounds roadside were not any higher than they were further away. Now, further work clearly can be done to investigate this question further. One of the things is that we did see a very complex relationship between soundscapes and the road types, and we don't quite know the relation, how that has affected by the vegetation complexity. And Bunyip also has a very complex fire history, so this may play a role as well. Second, we really need to investigate further the relationship between our acoustic indices and biological activity in this context. So to have confirmation that our soundscape index is representing a true diversity at these sites, we can go through the recordings and document this closer. And finally, our background sound noise level sound measurements were not really explicitly looking for vehicle noise. They were looking for general background sounds. So in order to determine the source of those noises, we need to go back to the recordings and document all the different types of noises that might be recorded in those areas. Thank you.